Okay, good morning. Today we are going to see about the biology and human physiology, right? It is objective-based examination. We are going to see the topics, right? Cell, tissues, right? Because the human's body is made up of cell and it is connected tissues, that is a skin-related thing, and it is connected to the organs, right? That is the human body system, right? So what are the commonly happening diseases, right, in the cells? Then how to improve your immunity, right? The nutrition and genetics. These are the important topics we are going to see in this biology and human physiology, right? First, we go to the cell-related things, right? The cell is nothing but cytology. Okay, cytology means the branch of biology that deals with the study of cells. Maybe this is also asked in MCQ. The study of cells is nothing but the cytology. What we are going to study in the cytology? The structure, function, and the composition and life cycle. Right? This cytology forms the biology, forms the foundation of biology and medical science. Right? You know, there are two scientists you have to remember when you are studying about the cell. That is Robert Hooke and Anton Leon Hooke. Right? Actually, first who discovered the cell means Robert Hooke only, but he discovered the cell in the dead cells, that is cork. Right? So first observed in 1665. So he observed in a dead cell called cork, right? So 1665. Then Anton van Leeuwenhoek. After that, what happened? He observed the living cells, right? There is a pond water, the bacteria, and protozoa, right? So first he only found out in the living cell, that is Anton van Leeuwenhoek, right? Next we come to the Skyden and Sherman proposed the cell theory. The cell theory was proposed by initially by Skyden and Scovan. And later on, cells arise from pre-existing cells is founded by Virchow. It is called Rudolf Virchow. Right. So we come to the things. All living organisms are made up of one or more cells. You know that all living organisms are made up of one or more cells. So cell is the basic unit of structure and function. We have two types of cells. One is prokaryotes and one is eukaryotes. Right? You have see that the smallest cell is nothing but mycoplasma. You have to keep it in mind because they may be asked in MCQ. Smallest cell is nothing but the mycoplasma. The largest cell is nothing but the osteocyte. Right? The longest cell in the humans is nothing but the nerve cell, or you can say it as a neuron. Or you can say it is a neuron. Okay. Now come to the prokaryotes. Right. This is a prokaryotes. Prokaryotes having no true nucleus, no membrane bound organelles. Right. The example is the bacteria. Example is the bacteria. It has 70 ribosomes. Example is the bacteria. So you have to remember there are two types of cells, prokaryote and eukaryote. What is the difference between them? It is have no true nucleus. It is having true nucleus. Right. It is no membrane is found. Here the membrane is found. It is an example bacteria. Here the example is plant cell and animal cell. So eukaryotes means it is in the plant cell and the animal cell. So prokaryotes means it is in the bacteria, right? So you have to remember that one. That is the main difference between these prokaryotes and eukaryotes. You can see that in bacteria we have 70 ribosomes. If you see in plant cell and animal cell, we have 80 ribosomes, right? Next, when come to the bacteria, you see that there is a peptidoglycan. Okay. Now you see here, this is bacteria is having the outer layer is nothing but the peptidoglycan. Here you see plants and fungus, it is nothing but cellulose, right? The fungi, it is nothing but the chitin, right? If you see in animal, there is no cell wall composition, right? If you the cell wall composition only present in the bacteria, and another one is the plants and fungi, right? So this thing you have to remember, right? The cell wall composition. right? Okay. 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 Next one, you can see the key organelles, right? So look at the machinery inside the cell, right? So mitochondria. So it has everything has a common name. You have the what I want to say. The mitochondria is nothing but the powerhouse of the cell. Ribosomes is nothing but the protein factories, right? Lysosome is nothing but the suicide bags. The Golgi apparatus is nothing but the traffic police, right? It is how to control, right, the package and transport the proteins and lipids. Is nothing but the Golgi apparatus. And next one is the endoplasmic reticulum. They have two types. One is rough endoplasmic reticulum, and another one is smooth endoplasmic reticulum. It has ribosomes and synthesize the proteins. But if you see here, smoother endoplasmic reticulum, it have no ribosomes. It synthesize the lipids and steroids. So this thing you have to uh, keep it in mind. When you come to the mitochondria, it is universally known as the powerhouse of the cell, right? This is nothing but the aerobic respirations happens, right? Uniquely, they contain their own DNA. It contains the own DNA. Next, you can see that it is a protein factory, right? It is found in the cytoplasm and on the rough endoplasmic reticulum. Right? Next one is the lysosome. Lysosome is nothing but the suicide bags, right? It contains hydraulic enzymes and intracellular digestions. Now see in the plants only this one, you can chloroplast. Chloroplast is nothing but the photosynthesis, and this one is the chromoplast, right? Chromoplast is nothing but the color, and then is the leucoplast is nothing but the storage. You see, chloroplast is for the photosynthesis is happening. Chromoplast is nothing but the color of the flowers and the fruits. You can see in plants, right? It is happening how the starch is taken. It is taken from photosynthesis, right? Then only the chromoplast. Chromoplast, it is having a fruits and flowers, and it is having different types of colors, right? So the colors are mentioned by this chromoplast. Then the storage is taken by means of leucoplast. So you have to remember color is by chromoplast and the storage is happening by means of leucoplast, and photosynthesis is happening by means of chloroplast. And you have to remember mitochondria is nothing but the powerhouse of the cell, right? Ribosome is nothing but the protein factory, and lysosome is nothing but the suicide bag, right? And then Golgi apparatus. This is nothing but the traffic police, or you can say it is a post office, because it packages the proteins and lipids for a transportation. And then you can see that is a endoplasmic reticulum. It is having two types, rough and smooth, right? Rough means because it has ribosomes, it is used to make the proteins, right? That is a rough endoplasmic reticulum. When you come to the smooth one, it has no ribosomes. It is used to detoxify the poison, and it is used to make the lipids, right? So this thing you have to remember for the objective. Mitochondria is nothing but the powerhouse of the cell. Ribosomes is nothing but the protein factories, and lysosome is nothing but the suicide bags, right? It is nothing. Golgi apparatus is nothing but the traffic police. So the plant seeds is nothing but the plants only. For plants, you know that photosynthesis is happening by means of chloroplast. And the color of the plant, maybe fruit and the flower, is decided by the chromoplast. And the storage is nothing but the leucoplast. Right? Next, you come to the mitosis. Mitosis is helpful for growth, repair, and asexual and reproduction. It is called as body cells, or you can say it is a somatic cells, right, used for growth and repair. Right? It is nothing but you can see that diploid. It is a two identical daughter cells. That is nothing but the mitosis. You see that meiosis. Meiosis is actually happened in germ cells. You see that it is happening in body cells, that is a somatic cells, but it is happening in the germ cells. You can see that is a two intermediate cells. The two intermediate cells is again to form four genetically different daughter cells. That is nothing but diploid. Diploid, the differentiation is going to happen. It's nothing but the haploid. right? This thing you have to remember. We're not going into the depth of this one, right? Because we are concentrating only in the objective part of this one. So used for gamete proportion. The meiosis is only for the gamete proportion. That's half the chromosomes number of the haploid. When it compared to the haploid, it is a half the number of chromosomes. Here it maintains the number of chromosomes. So mitosis and meiosis, these are the two different cellular replication. You can see it is for growth, repair, and asexual production. And this is for the sexual reproduction. That is nothing but the formation of gametes, right? So meiosis is occurs prophase 1, it leads to the genetic variation. So it is very useful for a genetic variation. It is used to help in understanding growth, development, and diseases, right? For example, if you want to diagnose the cancer, right, they use for mitosis and meiosis only, right? Blood analysis and the genetic studies are useful for the mitosis and meiosis. So we discuss. So the important things in the cell is nothing but the mitochondria, ribosomes, lysosomes, Golgi apparatus, and endoplasmic reticulum. And you can see in the plants is also having cells. In the chloroplast, chromoplast, and leucoplast are the three important things in the plants, right? You can see it is for photosynthesis, color, and the storage. And you can see who discovered this cell is nothing but the dead cells is found by Robert Hooke, found by, and then living cells is found by Anton van Leeuwenhoek, right? Later, the cell theory is proposed by Kelvin and Shannon, right? Then cells arise from the pre-existing cells can be found by Virchow. Right? The smallest cell is nothing but the mycoblasta, and the largest cell is nothing but the ostrich, and the longest cell in the humans is nothing but the neuron. There are two types, prokaryotes and eukaryotes, right? It has 70 ribosomes, it has 80 ribosomes, it is no nucleus, it is having the nucleus, right? The cell wall composition, you see that animal cells does not have composition, like plant cells have cellulose, and fungi has nothing but the chitin. For bacteria, it is nothing but the peptidoglycan. So you have to remember these things for objective type questions. Which one is having the lack of nucleus? Prokaryotes or eukaryotes?
Prokaryotes, sir.
Good. Which one is called a suicide bag?
Lysosomes.
Good. Protein factories?
Ribosomes.
The powerhouse of the cell?
Mitochondria.
Okay. Study of cells is nothing but cytology.
Cytology.
Okay, next come to the histology. Histology is nothing but the branch of biology that deals with the microscopic study of tissues. We are going to study about the tissues, the structure, organization, and function. Right? Actually, it bridges the gap between cytology and anatomy. Anatomy is nothing but the study of organs, right, inside the body. So cytology is nothing but the study of cells. So by connecting the cytology and the anatomy, we need a tissues, right? That is nothing but the histology, right? So tissue is nothing but a group of cells that perform a specific function. Group, it is nothing but a group of cells that perform a specific function, right? You know, general histology is nothing but the basic tissues. Special histology is nothing but the specific organs. You can say liver, kidney, and lungs are nothing but the special histology. And histopathology is also there. It is nothing but the study of diseased tissue. So suppose the disease is happening, they are going to study the medicine people. That is nothing but the histopathology, right? So it is three things are there: general histology, special histology, and histopathology. A general histology is nothing but the basic tissues we are studying. Special histology is nothing but the specific organs. A special histology is nothing but the specific organs: liver, kidney, and lungs. Then histopathology is nothing but the study of diseased tissue. Suppose disease is happening in the liver or kidney or lung, that is nothing but a histopathology, right? You see that here meristematic tissues, and the another one is the permanent tissues. There are two different types of tissues. This is nothing but in the plant tissues, right? We are studying the plant tissues right now. The plant tissues is nothing but the meristematic tissues and the permanent tissues. You see, actively how the meristematic tissues is divided: apical, lateral, and inside one is nothing but the intercalary. Right, the top one is nothing but the apical. It is responsible for growth in length and girth. Right, why it is used? How much length the plant is going to grow? Right, that is depends upon this one. Meristematic tissues only. It is a simple and permanent. For storage is nothing but the you can the parenchyma. For flexibility is nothing but the parenchyma, right? For strength and hardness is nothing but the sclerenchyma, right? It is nothing but the permanent, simple permanent tissues, right? The complex permanent is nothing but the xylem and the phloem. Is nothing but the complex permanent tissues. So we have two different types. One is meristematic tissues and another one is permanent tissues. Right? For storage, you can say parenchyma. For flexibility, you can say parenchyma. Right? For strength and hardness, that is, you can see the husk of coconut. Right? The coconut outer layer. Right? That is very hard. Right? You have to break down. That is nothing but the sclerenchyma. You have to remember this one. Right? Not come to the permanent tissues. You see that it is a complex permanent is nothing but the xylem and the phloem. You see that it transports the water and mineral from the roots to the leaves. Right? What is the purpose of the xylem? May be asked. The purpose of the xylem is the transportation of water and minerals from the roots to the leaves. That is the purpose. Right? So the main component is trachea and vessels. When it comes to the phylum is nothing but the transport food from leaves to the other parts of the plants, right? Here, what is again taken from the roots to the leaves, actually transports after generating a food from the leaves, it is transported to the other parts of the food. Maybe it goes to the flowers and the fruits of the uh, tree, right? That is nothing but the phylum. You have to remember. The main component is nothing but the sieve tubes and companion cells. So this thing you have to remember. Histology is nothing but the study of tissues, right? We are going to study about the plant cells and the animal cells also, right? So living and that is plants. Plants you can say meristematic tissues and permanent tissues. Meristematic tissues, this thing simple permanent we cannot divide, right? So complex permanent is xylem and phylum. Next, we come to the epithelial tissues. That is a protecting cover of the skin. We have a skin, right? So what about the inside part? Outer is nothing but the epidermis. The middle one is the dermis, and the inside one is nothing but the hypodermis. Right? It is protective covering and the lining of organs. This is nothing but the animal tissues. Animal tissues means like our humans is right. That is a protecting covering of the skin. So you see that the epithelial tissue is nothing but the epidermis, dermis, hypodermis. Right? The outer layer of the skin is called the epidermis, and the inside, the next layer of the skin is nothing but the dermis, and another layer is nothing but the inside layer is nothing but the hypodermis. Right? So lining of organs. You can see here, inside that we are having a bone. After skin, what which part is a connective tissue? There is a bone inside your. If you take a hand, there is a skin is there. After that, there are three types: epidermis, dermis, and hypodermis. Inside that, there is a bone is there. You can see bone is nothing but the hard matrix. You can see cartilage. Cartilage is nothing but the flexible matrix. You can see your ear part. Ear part is flexible. Your nose tip is also flexible. If you can touch that one, it is very flexible. It is not like such hard, right? So that is nothing but the flexible matrix. You can say that is a cartilage. The cartilage tissue is found in, might be in the examination, might be asked. It is in the ear, nose tip, or pinna, right? The hard matrix is nothing but, you know that to improve the bones, you need a calcium, right? So hard matrix is nothing but the calcium and phosphorus. You can see the ligament joints, bone to bone, right? Uh, Bone to bone. That is nothing but the hard matrix. You see here, muscle to bone, muscle to bone. That is connecting to the muscle. Muscle is connected with the bone. right? This is nothing but the connective tissue. This is nothing but the connective tissue. We can, that is a bone and cartilage. Bone is nothing but the hard matrix. This is nothing but the flexible matrix, right? It is nothing but hard matrix is nothing but you can say bone to bone. The cartilage is nothing but the flexible. You can found it in ear and the nose tip, right? Next, you come to the fluid connective, right? That is a plasma. Plasma, the liquid part is 55%, right? The remaining part is nothing but the contain water, protein, and salt. This is nothing but the plasma. You see that RBC, WBC, and platelets, right? It is a fluid connectivity of the blood. RBC, the another name is erythrocytes. WBC is nothing but the leukocytes, and the platelets is nothing but the thrombocytes, right? You see that there is no nucleus in mammals, right? It is a biconcave. RBC is nothing but a biconcave. It is not having a nucleus, right? So it is having red blood corpuscles. They say that you have to, RBC is not there. You need to, hemoglobin is low, right? So it is contain the hemoglobin, that is the iron pigment. Iron containing is nothing but the hemoglobin. So the lifespan of RBC is nothing but the 120 days. You see the WBC. WBC is nothing but the white blood corpuscles. It is nothing but the red blood corpuscles. Right? It is nothing but white BC, WBC. You have neutrophil and lymphocyte and monocyte. Right? So this is nothing but the immune defensive system. Suppose any disease is happening, the first immunization is coming from this WBC only, white blood corpuscles only, right? So in white blood corpuscles, we have granulocytes and agranulocytes, right? This is nothing but the immunization leukocytes. Now you come to the platelets. You know that any dengue or any diseases come, firstly the platelet counts goes to low. So you need to bring it down the platelet count to above 1.5 lakhs. You have to drink more water, right? So that platelets is nothing but the thrombocytes. Is essential for blood clotting also. Suppose the accident is happening, the blood is coming continuously, right? The blood has to stop immediately. When the blood has to stop immediately, only the platelet count will be more. Then only the blood count, that the blood clotting is happening, right? It is essential for the blood clotting. The another name of platelets is nothing but the thrombocytes. So you have to remember this one. Thrombocytes is nothing but the platelets. Leukocytes is nothing but the white blood corpuscles, WBC. And you can see this one is the RBC. RBC is nothing but the red blood corpuscles, or you can say that erythrocytes. These are the fluid connective to the blood, plasma, RBC, WCC, and platelets. So you can say the blood is divided into four parts: plasma, RBC, WBC, and platelets. Maybe it is asked in the match the following also, or pick the odd one out also. It given the blood related to RBC, WBC, platelets, right? And some other term will be asked. We have to find out. So that's why we are studying like this, right? So keep in remember that fluid connectivity is nothing but the blood, RBC, WBC, and platelets, right? So we studied about this histology. Okay. The study of tissues is nothing but what? Study of tissues. Study of cells is nothing but cytology. The study of tissues is nothing but
Histology.
histology. Yes. Next, next we can come to the human physiology. Right? Human physiology, you can say that human physiology is a branch of biology that deals with the normal functions of the body. Right? How the human body and its organs, right? And its minute. Okay. Human body and its organs. how different systems work together to maintain a stable internal environment. That is nothing but the human physiology. So human physiology, you can see that level of organization. First, we studied about the cells. Next, we studied about the tissues. Next, we are going to study about the organs and then organ system that is related to the human body. First, we are seeing a digestive system. Digestive system, the function of the digestive system is nothing but digestion, absorption, and assimilation. Right? These are the three important things. What are the things is doing? The key organs for the digestive system. The key organs of the digestive system is nothing but mouth and stomach, small intestine, then liver, then pancreas. These are the five main organs: mouth, stomach, small intestine, liver, and pancreas for the digestive system. Right? Digestive system, you can see mouth here. Right? What is happening in the mouth? It is nothing but a saliva is there inside the tongue, right? Which digests the starch into maltose. What is happening in the mouth? The starch is into the maltose. It is happening. Then it is come to the esophagus, right? The throat-like structure, right? Inside the esophagus, the movement pushes the food down. That is the throat. After a mouth, it is going to the throat, right? The throat, they are having a esophagus, so it pushes the food down. Then it goes to the stomach and the liver. What happens in the stomach? It segregates the HCl, kills the bacteria and activate the enzymes. So once it comes to the stomach, due to the hydrochloric HCl is present, it is killing the bacteria. It activates the enzyme, right? Enzyme, that is pepsin. It is going to digest the proteins. Next, it goes to the liver. The liver is the largest gland. You have to remember which gland is the largest one. It is nothing but the liver. So it is the largest gland. It segregates the bile and stored in the gallbladder. So gallbladder, what happens? It segregates the bile. Bile is nothing but it separates the fats and stored in the gallnation bladder. Then you come to the intestine. I have told that there is a small intestine is there and the large intestine is there and the pancreas. These are the helpful for the digestive system organ. You come to the pancreas. The pancreas, what is the role it is playing? It is nothing but the mixed gland. Some may ask which one is gland is called the mixed gland. That is nothing but the pancreas. If it is the largest gland, that is nothing but the liver. You can see there is a stomach, there is an HCl. The HCl is going to kill the bacteria present in the food we are going to eat. Right? Next, you see segregates the trypsin. Segregates the trypsin means it's nothing but it is going to segregate protein, fats, and carbohydrates. So the main function of pancreas, what it is segregate, it is going to divide that into proteins, fats, and carbohydrates. You can say proteins is nothing but the trypsin, fats is nothing but the lipase, and carbohydrates is nothing but the amylase. Right? So we have to remember pancreas duty is nothing but going to segregate, that is a trypsin, protein, fat, and carbohydrates. Right? It is going to separate these three things. When you come to the small intestine only, the complete digestion occurs here. Where the digestion occurs here means the small intestine only. It will absorb only the nutrients because the nutrients only is helpful for the human body, right? So villi is absorbing the nutrients. You see that part which is absorbing the nutrients is nothing but the villi. Remember that one? Villi is the way to absorb the nutrients. Right? The complete digestion occurs here. When it comes to the large intestine, right? Large intestine, what is going to happen? It absorbs the water. Bacteria are present. You see that in the stomach itself, it's killing the bacteria, but some of the bacteria are stored in the large intestine, right? Bacteria is produced here, that is here produced because in bacteria is also we have good bacteria and bad bacteria. That is different topic. So bacteria here is produce the vitamin K. This bacteria is here is going to produce the vitamin K. To see that carbohydrates is nothing but the glucose, the proteins is nothing but the amino acids, right? The fatty acids plus glycerol is nothing but the fats. Then proteins is nothing but the amino acids. So these are the things you have to remember in the digestive system, right? Mouth, esophagus, stomach, liver, and pancreas, and small intestine and large intestine. What is the function of that? it is going to convert the starch into a maltose. What it is going to pushes the food down. That is nothing but peristalsis. In stomach, the HCl is there. It is going to kill the bacteria and activate the enzyme. The liver is nothing but the largest gland. It is going to, what to say, uh, segregates the bile and stored in the gallbladder. The pancreas is going to separate the proteins, fats, and carbohydrates. It is nothing but the mixed gland. The small intestine, the complete digestion occurs here in the small intestine itself. It is going to take only the nutrients. It is absorbed. The large intestine, it absorbs water and the bacteria here. It is useful for production of vitamin K. This thing you have to remember about the digestive system, right? Next, we have come to the respiratory system. Respiratory system, there is nothing but exchange of gases. You know how we are breathing, what is breathe out, right? Breathe in is nothing but the oxygen, the breathe out is the carbon dioxide. That is nothing but the respiratory system. That is exchange of gases, oxygen and carbon dioxide. Here you can see main alveoli is nothing but the lungs. You have the inhale, right? Inhale means diaphragm contracts and flattens, right? Next one is the exhalation, where you're going out, right? This relaxes the and domes is nothing but the diaphragm, right? So the main part of this one is nothing but the alveoli, because the exchange of gases, that is oxygen and carbon dioxide. You see, it is mainly used for the gaseous exchange, because inside we are taking oxygen and outside we are leaving a carbon dioxide. The main function of this one is nothing but the alveoli. You have to remember this one. This is nothing but the helpful for gas exchange. You know that the transportation, oxygen enter the blood and carbon dioxide is removed from the blood. You see, oxygen carried by hemoglobin, right? We have to take the oxygen to the transportation, that is oxyhemoglobin. Carbon dioxide is carried as bicarbonate ions, mostly, that is nothing but carbinohemoglobin, right? Carbinohemoglobin, that is nothing but the carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide hemoglobin, it is nothing but the oxygen hemoglobin, right? It is nothing but inside we are going, it is the entering is oxygen enters the blood, that is this one is the oxygen, uh, that is carbon dioxide is the removed from the blood, right? So you have to remember the mechanism. So main thing you have to remember here is the alveoli, right? Oxygen enters, carbon dioxide is out, exhales, that is removed from the heart. Next, you come to the circulatory system. Circulatory system, we have four chambers, right? Arteries, right atrium, left atrium, right ventricle, and left ventricle. These are the four chambers in the circulatory system, right? You see, right side is for deoxygenated blood. That is in the blue color. You can see that is a deoxygenated blood. You see, red color, that is a blood, is nothing but the oxygenated blood. That is on the left side, right? The blue color is nothing but deoxygenated, and the red color is nothing but the oxygenated. That is the right atrium and right ventricle is nothing but the deoxygenated blood, and left atrium and left ventricle is nothing but the red blood. You can see there is a valve is there. That is a tricuspid is nothing but the right valve, and the another one is bicuspid is nothing but the left valve. It is nothing but to prevent the backflow. That is, it cannot come to the two direction. It can go only in one direction. So that the valves are useful. That is, valve is nothing but the tricuspid and bicuspid. The right is nothing but tricuspid and left is nothing but the bicuspid. It prevents the backflow. You see, there is a pacemaker, because you saw that there is heart surgery, there is a pacemaker is happening. So the synovial node, that means it initiates the heartbeats, right? SA node, synovial node only, it initiates the heartbeat. So that is nothing but the pacemaker. So they are having a four chambers, right? Then how it is functioning, right? The circulatory system, mainly you can say that it is a cardiovascular system, that is a transport of oxygen, nutrients, and hormones. The main thing components here is nothing but the heart, blood, and blood vessels. Right? These are the three main things are there. So arteries carries blood away from the heart and veins carry blood to the heart. We can see that one. Yeah, you can see here blood vessels, right? I told that in that you can see carry blood away from the heart. That is nothing but the arteries. It is thick wall pressure and that is oxygenated blood to other parts of the body. That is nothing but the arteries. This is nothing but the veins. Veins, what is going to do? It is going to carry blood towards the heart. That is deoxygenated. That is before the oxygenation. Once it is oxygenated, it is go from the arteries to the other parts of the body, right? You see, except the pulmonary artery. You can see in the veins what is happening. It carries the blood towards the heart. How it is structured, it look like it is a thin valves are present. It is deoxygenated blood. That is nothing but the happening in the blood vessels, right? Next, you can see it is you see that oxygenated and deoxygenated. It is not going to the pulmonary vein because it is having a double circulation. Because initially we seen that it is having only one flow, only one direction flow, right? Coming out and coming in, right? It is a double circulation. That is nothing but the pulmonary artery. It is going to the lungs and it is going to the systematic of the body, right? So the pulmonary artery and the pulmonary vein. It is used for double circulation. We have to keep it in reminder. That is a double circulation. That is nothing but the pulmonary artery. It is due to the lungs and the systematic body function, right? Both in and out is happening, that circulation, right? Next, come to the excretory system. That, or you can say this is a urinary system, right? The function is the removal of waste and the regulation of water and the salt. Here, the main function is the kidney. Kidney is meant for excretory system, or you can say it is a urinary system. A circulatory system is nothing but that is a cardiovascular system. Initially, we seen previously. What is happening here? The filter blood to remove nitrogenous waste. That is nothing but the urea. Here, what are the urine formation? Ultrafiltration, selective reabsorption, and segregation. These three things are happening in the urine formation. Then it comes to the functional unit. How it is functional, it is happening, right? That is the glomerulus, and then Bowman's capsules are there. After that, it goes to the convoluted tube, then the loop hem. It is come to the distal tubule, and it is a collective duct, right? So glomerulus is nothing but the filtration. Then after that, Bowman's capsule and the loop of Henle. This is the nephron. Is a functional unit of this one. Functional unit is nephron. The main organ is kidney. It forms the urine and maintains the acid-base balance, right? So artificial kidney is used in the renal failure. You know that is nothing but dialysis will do. That is blood is injecting. So the main thing you have to see in the excretory system. Excretory system, the main thing is kidney. It filters the blood to remove the nitrogenous waste. You have to remember this thing. These are the tests they do dialysis, right? Dialysis means new blood is injecting for artificial kidney. So this thing you have to remember relate to the excretory system. Next, we'll come to the nervous system. Nervous system is nothing but the control and the coordination. Control and the coordination, because every actions are taken, that control coordination is happening in the nervous system only. Right? What are the parts in the nervous system? That is the central nervous system. Central nervous system, if you take, that is nothing but the brain and the spinal cord. Brain and the spinal cord. You know that in brain, there are three parts. Cerebrum. Cerebrum is nothing but the largest part. Intelligence, memory, and voluntary action. It is happening in the cerebrum. You have to remember that cerebrum, cerebellum, and medulla oblongata you studied in school times, right? Cerebrum is nothing but the largest part. And intelligence, memory, voluntary action is taken from the cerebrum. If you take a medulla oblongata is nothing but the heartbeat and the breathing. That is helpful. To take cerebellum, balance and the posture, whether you are walking or cycling or running, right? By that time, the cerebellum is functioning, right? So these are the three functions. Cerebrum is the largest part. The main thing is intelligence and memory. And if you see cerebellum, because name seems to be similar, but it is a bellum, cerebellum. Bellum means it is a balancing. You have to remember, bellum means is a balancing and posture, and the medulla is for heartbeat and breathing. Right. So these things, three main things for the brain. When come to the spinal cord, you see it is a neckline. It is connected near to the neckline. It is a motor neuron, and we have a sensory neuron, and interneuron will be there, right? Then the reflex action will be taken. That is the CNS action will be taken. That is the CNS means central nervous system. How it is connected to the central nervous system. Here, this thing is going to connect to the spinal cord. Right? The cerebellum, medulla oblongata is going to connect to the central nervous system. That is nothing but the spinal cord. Right? So it is very important organ for the human. So you have to remember this one. You say come to the nervous system, right? You see, it is having nothing but right. You see a brain, a neuron. That means a signal enters the any action to perform. The signal enters from the dendrites and it goes to the cell body, and then it is down to the axon, right? So it is going to the axon, and what is happening, and jump the synapse using neurotransmitters. You see that there is a sheath is happening, insulate axon, and speed up the transmission. Right? Anything is happening, it receives signal. Suppose someone is touches you, what happened? It dendrites only is going to receive the signal, and it is going to the cell body. Cell body somatis, that is the cell body. It is going to that, and then the signal flow is going to the synapse, the gap between the two neurons, where signal transmits chemically. That the neurotransmitters are there. So based on the neuron only, it's going to give signal to the brain. Then only the next action is going to takes place, right? So this thing you have to remember. The nervous system, the neuron is the main thing. Where the signal enters means the signal enters to the receiving signal is nothing but the dendrites, right? This thing you have to remember. Cerebrum is for the intelligence and cerebellum is for the balance, right? Then the medulla controls the heartbeat. Then the neurons only going to give signals to the cell body. Next, come to the endocrine gland. Endocrine, you see the pituitary gland. Pituitary gland is nothing but the master gland. Why it is called the master gland means it is going to control the growth and other glands. The pituitary is nothing but is going to control the growth hormones and other glands. So it is called as the master gland, because the objective based question, which one is called as the master gland? It's nothing but the pituitary gland, right? Which one is the largest gland? You have to remember that one, right? So this is nothing but the pituitary gland is nothing but the master gland. It is used for growth and other glands. Next, you can see the thyroid gland. Thyroid gland is nothing but it going to regulate the metabolism. It needs the iodine. It's going to regulate the iodine metabolism. It requires the iodine. It is deficiency causes of goiter, right? So you have to remember this is located in the neck, right? It segregates the thyroxine. That means it is going to regulate the metabolism. It requires iodine, right? Because the iodine deficiency causes, it leads to a disease called goiter, right? Remember that one. And there is a lag in the iodine deficiency. It leads to the deficiency of causes the goiter disease. So remember that thyroid gland. You know, the thyroid is now commonly happening for the women. So this deficiency of iodine only, it causes the goiter. Next, come to the pancreas. Right, we've seen that pancreas only is going to separates the fats, carbohydrates, and nutrients. Everything. This is the function of the endocrine glands. Since you have to insert a insulin, suppose there is a lower blood sugar, you have to insert the insulin there. The deficiency causes the diabetes, right? The glucose diabetes, right? You have to remember this one, right? So insulin is in the beta cells. It lowers the blood sugar. The deficiency causes the diabetes. See, glucogen is nothing but the alpha cells. Insulin is nothing but the beta cells. Here, lower the blood sugars. That is nothing but the insulin, right? Whenever the sugar is more, they have to insert the insulin, right? So to lower the blood sugar, that is nothing but the insulin. You have to remember. Glycogen is nothing but the, it raises the blood sugar. That is nothing but the alpha cells. You have to remember. There are two cells, beta cells and alpha cells. Alpha cells is to raises the blood sugar. For lowering the blood sugar, that is nothing but the beta cells. So if beta cells is not functioning, it goes to the higher sucrose, that the glucose level will be higher. It leads to the sugar. The sugar level is going to high inside that. That leads to the diabetes, right? So what they are doing, we are, if the sugar level is more, we are injecting a insulin. Why you are inserting a insulin in the beta cells? To reduce the sugar to a lower level. So this is where we are doing this one. The main thing is the pancreas. Pancreas we are doing. Next one is the adrenal gland. You see that adrenal gland is nothing but the emergency gland. Right? Whenever the emergency is happening, right, is releasing adrenaline, fight to or flight. Right? You see that heart beating is very fast. When you are running, what happens? Heart beats more, right? Heart beat is more. That is the energy releasing is more. Eyes is also dilated. So you need some water to take inside, right? So this is nothing but the emergency gland. In the whenever you feel emergency, this gland is functioning more. Whether you are taking a running or doing some continuous action, right? Doing some continuous exercise, right? That is the adrenal gland. What it is happening? A fight or flight response, right? To immediate action is taken from the adrenaline. It from the secretes from the medulla. So adrenal gland is nothing but the emergency gland. The pancreas is nothing but the islets of Langerhans. Right. Next to come to the skeleton system. Right. You know that it is a skeleton. You know that it is a skull, vertebral column. This is a ribs, and this is one is a sternum, and this one is the girdles, right? Pectoral and pelvic, and we have the arms and legs is nothing but the limbs. You can say this is the axial skeleton, and you can say this is the appendicular skeleton. You know, approximately 300 bones for the newborn. Child is newborn, it is having 300 bones. When it become adult, they are having 206 bones. This might be asked in also in MCQ, how many bones are there? That is nothing but the 206 bones. You can see longest bone in the thigh. This is the longest bone. That name is called nothing but the femur. You have to remember. Here only is having the smallest bone. That is nothing but the stapes, right? This is the hardest, strongest one is nothing but the jaw. You have to remember this one. The smallest bone is the ear. The strongest bone is nothing but the jaw. And the longest bone is nothing but the thigh. For the newborn, 300 bones are there. When it becomes adult, right, there are 206 bones are there. There are two types of skeleton, axial skeleton and appendicular skeleton. Skeleton is there. You have to remember this thing, right? When it comes to, yeah, when it comes to diseases, you see that tuberculosis is there, and typhoid is there, cholera is there, and tetanus is there, right? You know that tuberculosis is caused because of bacteria. How it is formed? It is formed because of the bacteria that is happening in the lungs, right? When it comes to the typhoid is nothing but the Salmonella, or you can say viral test, is the intestinal fever. Intestinal fever, which test is happening? It is nothing but the viral test is doing for that one. The tuberculosis is going to affect the lungs. You have to give BCG vaccine. You see, in cholera is nothing but a waterborne disease. What cholera is nothing but the waterborne disease. You can say Vibrio cholera. It is happening because of dehydration. There is no water level is present. So waterborne disease is nothing but a cholera. You can see tetanus, right? Tetanus is also one of the disease. It's nothing but a lock. It is happening in the teeth nearby, lock jaw. That is nothing but the tetanus. These are the bacterial diseases, right? Tuberculosis, typhoid, cholera, and tetanus. Because sometimes pick the odd one out, they will ask bacterial diseases. Uh, so pick the odd one out, right? So in that option, suppose from this three is given and some other disease is given, dengue is given. So the option is dengue, right? So you have to remember the bacterial diseases. Bacterial diseases nothing but a tuberculosis, cholera, and typhoid and tetanus are coming under the bacterial diseases. Then come to the viral diseases, right? The viral diseases nothing but AIDS, hepatitis, rabies, and the dengue, right? These are the things coming under the viral diseases, right? So what happened in viral diseases? You can see HIV, retrovirus. It is going to destroy the lymphocytes. You see where you can study the lymphocytes. I think we studied in the white blood corpuscles. It is for the immunity purpose, right? When the immunization spoils, the disease easily happens, right? Uh, which test is to prevent that? What to say for test of AIDS is nothing but the ELISA test. Hepatitis is going to affect the liver. It is having hepatitis A, B, C, D, E is there. Rabies is now happening is because of the dog or monkey bites. Hydrophobia. Right? Rabies. Rabies is happening because of the dog bite or monkey bite. Then dengue. Dengue is happening because of the mosquito bite. Mosquito bite. You can say that is a flavivirus. Here, rabies is nothing but a hydrophobia. Right? You can say this is a hepatitis is going to affect the liver. You see the dengue. I already told immediately your platelet counts is going to lower. What is the other name of platelets? We discussed. What is the other name of platelets? Okay, you see that one. What is the other name of platelets? That's chromoplast. We are the vector. It is going to Aedes mosquito. Which mosquito is going to create the dengue is nothing but the Aedes mosquito only. So it is going to happen the low platelet counts, right? You see that dengue is not a virus or a bacteria. It is caused by protozoa. It is caused by the protozoa. Malaria is spread by female, right? The dengue is spread by the male one. So you have to keep it in remember this thing. You see that one. Malaria. Malaria is nothing but the female. This one, dengue is happened by the male. That is Aedes mosquito. You see here, vector anopheles mosquito. It is going to affect the RBCs, red blood corpuscles, and the erythrocytes and the liver, right? So the drug is we have to prevent this is nothing but the quinine. That is nothing but to prevent from this one, right? So malaria. Malaria is a protozoa and fungal disease. You can see that one. Fungal disease, another one is the amoebic dysentery and the ringworm. And you can see that is athlete foot, right? These are the protozoan and fungal diseases. Due to fungal is happening because of the ringworm is happening in the body, right? You can see in the skins or you can see in the legs, right, toes and all that fungal infection is happening because of this is called as fungal diseases. Then protozoa, you can see that is a malaria and a hemic dysentery is happening because of the protozoa and fungal diseases, right? You can see that is called as communicable diseases, and we have non-communicable diseases also, right? So you can see that bacteria pathogen. Pathogen is nothing but can spread from one person to another. That is a communicable diseases. We seen earlier communicable diseases. Communicable diseases pathogen means can spread from one person to another. There are we can see bacteria, virus, protozoa, and fungus, right? Because of bacteria only, the tuberculosis, cholera, tetanus is happening. because of a virus only, you know that COVID, polio, right? Uh, polio, AIDS, everything is happening because of this virus only. And then you can see the protozoa. Protozoa is nothing but the amoebiasis, this amoebic dysentery and malaria is happening due to the protozoa. And fungus. Fungus, because of fungus only, the ringworm and athalate worm is happening, right? So this is called as communicable diseases. The modes of transmission might be through air. Air only the tuberculosis is happening. Air only the tuberculosis is happening because of the water and the food. It is happened. That is nothing but the cholera. The skin diseases is happening by means of direct contact. Then next one is the vector diseases. Vector diseases is nothing but by means of mosquitoes. That is, you can say malaria, right? You have to remember this one, how the modes of transmission, because some MCQs may ask the modes of transmission also. In air, which disease is common? That is nothing but the tuberculosis, water and food, cholera. For direct contact, is a skin disease. The vector is nothing but the malaria, because it is happening, and dengue, because it is happening due to the mosquito, right? So this thing you have to remember when you study about the diseases, right? You see here non-communicable diseases, or you can say genetic diseases. Earlier we can see cholera, everything related to communicable diseases. This is non-communicable or does not spread from person to person. For that example is nothing but a cancer. You know that cancer is an uncontrolled cell division, right? This is the malignant tumor will be there, right? It is a localized here, and it is being it as causes the spread. That is nothing but it is a communicable disease. It can be spread from one person to another person, or you can say it is a genetic diseases also. Cancer is spreading from person to person, right? So here you can see here hemophilia is here nothing but the royal disease. That means you can say the blood is failed to clot. To clot the blood, which one is important? We studied. To clot the blood, platelets, right? Platelets is going to clot the blood. It is not happening. Clotting is not happening. It is going to be a hemophilia. That is nothing but the X-linked recessive. That is nothing but the royal disease. The other name for hemophilia is nothing but the royal disease. You can know color blindness. Color blindness means difficult to distinguish between the red and green. That is X-linked is recessive here. That is the color blindness. These are non-communicable diseases, right? So we've seen that is deficiency diseases is nothing but the scurvy and rickets. Genetic diseases is nothing but the hemophilia, and degenerative. That is nothing but the arthritis, pain. That is a degenerative type. Lifestyle diseases is nothing but the diabetes. Diabetes, we've seen that low sugar. Low sugar is happening right in the pancreas. We have to insert insulin in the beta cells, right, to improve that one. Hypertension, these are nothing but the lifestyle diseases. And cancer, you can see that is an uncontrolled cell growth happening inside the human body, that you can say that is a non-communicable diseases or genetic diseases, right? Then you can see some of the duration-based diseases, such as acute diseases. Acute diseases is nothing but the common cold that is happening due to the winter season. That is nothing but short duration is happening. That is called as acute diseases. That is a chronic diseases. Chronic diseases means long-lasting diseases. For example, diabetes, you can say tuberculosis, you can say that is a long diseases. That is nothing but the chronic diseases, right? So, what are the topics we've seen today? There is a different types of diseases we've seen, right? And the cells and types of cells we've seen. Then tissues we've seen, plant cells, plant tissues and animal tissues we've seen, and we've seen organs inside the animal cells and the plant cells. We can see the organ, and we can see different types of system, right? Respiratory system, excretory system, right? everything, that how it is functioning, uh, what are the main organs for that system, right? Everything we covered up to this today, right? Next, we will see the immunization in the next class. Just you go through this thing, right? Because we are studying not a medicine, we are going only objective based question related to biology and what we studied into 6th to 12th standard, right? So we'll see in the next class the remaining. Hello, it is audible?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, yeah. We'll see in the next class. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.